We're going to speak now to Melissa Ryan, co-chair of the BMA's Resident Doctors Committee, down on the picket line at St Thomas's Hospital here in London. Melissa, very good morning to you.
Hello.
Wes Streeting calls you reckless. Do you think he's wrong?
I think that Mr. Streeting should have come and presented us with a credible offer to restore our pay so that we could have called all these strikes off. We've been asking for months now for him to come and negotiate in order to avert strike action. You can see or hear behind me that there's an awful lot of doctors here who are just wanting their pay erosion reversed, and it's a crying shame that we find ourselves on a picket line when this could have all been called off.
What would you normally be doing today if you weren't on a picket line?
So I'm a paediatric trainee. I work with children and babies, and I should be on a ward in Nottingham looking after the babies today. Instead, I find myself on a picket line in London, a little bit frustrated about this because the government had an opportunity to avert the strikes by giving us a credible offer, but they failed to deliver.
So who's looking after the children then?
So we have senior doctors who have stepped down to cover the resident doctors. We've got A&Es that are covered, so if patients are listening at home, don't be afraid to come in and get emergency care. Don't be afraid, don't sit at home. And I apologise for the disruption that this has caused. As I said, I do not want to be out on strike. I'm sure that the patients don't want me out on strike either. We just need the government to come in and negotiate and give us an offer.
How much more money do you want?
So our first year doctor is currently on £18.60 odd an hour. We're asking for £4 an hour more. And this is a first year doctor who might have £80,000 or £100,000 in student loan debt. But they might be that first doctor to see your loved one when they come into hospital. And so we're asking for £4 an hour more. Do you know what? We've got assistants that are paid more than that. They're paid £24 an hour. They're paid £9,000 more than a doctor in their first year. We would like our pay restored so that we can retain those bright young doctors in the NHS so they can do their jobs with the patients.
You always talk about pounds per hour. How much do you actually get paid per year? What's your annual salary?
So if you start off in a first year, you're roughly on
No, I'm asking about your salary. No, I'm asking your salary. What's your salary?
So my salary depends on how many hours I do.
Well, how much did you make?
£21 per hour, which is about £21 per hour.
Well, I don't know how many hours you work. What's your annual salary, please?
So my annual salary is eroded by 21% on since 2008, every single resident doctor here.
I'm looking for a number.
And all we want is for our pay to be restored.
No, I'm looking for a number. Can you not just tell me how much your salary is? Like, how much did you get paid last year?
As I said, my salary is eroded 21%. I'm not here to talk about my salary. I'm here to talk about all
you're
resident doctors
asking for taxpayers. No, hang on. You're asking, Melissa, you're asking for taxpayers to fund your work, right? Because you work for the public sector, you work for the NHS, so basically taxpayers fund your salary. So I think we're entitled to know how much you get paid.
I get paid £21 an hour. And that is 21% eroded on my pay from 2008.
All right. So how many hours did you work?
All right.
Well, tell us how many hours you worked. Tell us how many hours you worked last year, and we'll multiply it by 21.
I don't know how many hours I worked in the year. I can
do you
tell
know
you
how much money? Do you know how much money you made?
40 to 72,000 at 72 hours a week.
Did you make? Do you make? I don't know. Well, do you give us?
I can tell you another thing.
Can you give us a ballpark figure?
I should be at work today looking after the patients.
Yeah, but can you give us a ballpark? Do you make 50,000 a year? Do you make 70,000 a year? Do you make 30,000 a year? Can you not give us a ballpark figure?
My salary is not really relevant here.
Your salary, of course, your salary is bloody relevant. You're striking to get more money. Your salary is very relevant. So why can't you just tell me what it is? What are you trying to hide?
I'm not trying to hide anything.
Well, you're hiding your salary.
An hour. I've told you I'm off on work.
You're hiding your salary. Why can't you just be honest and straightforward? I don't want to be on a picket line,
and I'm sure the public doesn't want me to be on a picket line either. I'm sure
no, the public wants to know what your salary is.
Slightly £23 an hour.
No, the public wants to know what you're paid. because you're asking for more money from the public. So in order for us to justify that, we need to know how much you get paid and how much more money you want. How's that unreasonable as a question?
What you need to know is that our pay is eroded, and that's why we're out.
No, what I need to know is the facts, right?
What you need to know is that it's a political choice.
If you can't tell me what you're getting paid now and how much money you want in future, then I'm afraid you are an irrelevant and useless individual, and you shouldn't be actually representing anybody.
I am being paid £21 an hour. We want to see our pay restored, and that will take a first-year doctor up by £4 an hour. That is what we're asking for. We're asking for the government to come and negotiate. We're not interested in negotiating with people live on air. We're interested in talking to the government, and we haven't had an offer from the government.
Well, the government also,
which is why we're back out
the government think you're reckless. The government think you're doing damage to the health service. You're charging an awful lot of money now over the course of the next 5 days. It's going to cost £87 million to the Exchequer, right? Which is our money, which you're wasting, and you haven't even got the decency to tell me how much money you earn. I think you're absolutely outrageous.
What I think is outrageous is the fact that these strikes have gone ahead when the government could have put an offer on the table and they didn't.
Well, how can they make an offer to you if you don't tell them how much you want?
We want a first-year doctor to go up by £4 an hour. We want our pay restored to 2008 levels.
How much money did you make?
We're not worth less than doctors in 2008.
Where were you a doctor in 2008?
How is that relevant?
Well, because you say you want the pay restored to 2008 levels, but I don't believe you were a doctor in 2008. Were you?
So 2008 is when austerity came in line, is when our pay started being eroded.
Were you a doctor in 2008? Were you a doctor in 2008?
We've had 17 years of pay erosion. And
were you a doctor in 2008?
To be reversed. It's not relevant about what happens with doctors when they come in. It's a very long
to a time when you were a child
program.
How about you get restored? You get your pocket money in 2008. How much was that? I mean, you know, you're just not a credible individual.
It's been eroded over 17 years, and what we want is for our pay erosion to be reversed. That's all we're asking for. We're asking for the government to come and negotiate, and so far all they've given us is empty promises.
I'm not surprised they're not negotiating with you, because you're insane. No, I don't think they should negotiate with you. I think they should fire you, quite frankly. Melissa Ryan, co-chair of BMA's Resident Doctors Committee. She's not a junior doctor anymore. She wants to be called a resident doctor. She won't tell me how much money she makes. She won't tell me whether she was a doctor in 2008. She basically doesn't think anything is relevant other than going on strike, which she says she doesn't want to do. What a complete and utter bloody plank.